Okay, picture this. You step up, you look out at a massive sea of faces, and bam, it hits you. Your hands begin to shake, your heart is absolutely hammering in your chest. Suddenly, you're hyper aware of literally every single word you're saying, every breath you take, and every slight movement you make. We've all been there, right? And then the thoughts instantly start racing. What if they laugh at me? What if I blank and look totally stupid? What if I just completely embarrass myself? It is a visceral, overwhelming, full-body panic. But here is the truly wild truth about this exact moment. Nothing dangerous is actually happening. You aren't being chased by a pack of wolves, and there is no saber-toothed tiger hiding in the front row. Your life is literally not at risk at all. So why on earth does your body react like you're in mortal danger? Well, it all comes down to a fascinating crossing of wires in your head. Basically, your brain cannot always tell the difference between actual physical danger and social rejection. To your nervous system, stepping onto a stage and stepping in front of a hungry predator feel shockingly similar. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the primal pulse, why we fear the judgment of others. We are going to narrate the amazing evolutionary journey behind the development of this fear. We'll explore exactly why people are so terrified of being judged and how this ancient, primal instinct still manages to control millions of lives today. All right, let's jump right in. Starting off with Section 1, the ancient development built to belong. Let's trace this evolutionary timeline all the way back to the beginning to really understand this journey. Transport yourself thousands of years into the past. Back then, flying solo meant, well, you probably wouldn't survive very long. Your life depended entirely on living in a small group, a tribe. That tribe provided your food, your protection, and your vital support. Being cast out didn't just mean you were lonely for a weekend. It monumentally decreased your chances of survival. Essentially, rejection meant death. Because of this, our brains spent thousands of generations wiring social acceptance directly to literal survival. And as we move along our timeline, you'll see we bring that exact same ancient life or death wiring right into our modern world, like social media, today.
Which brings us to Section 2, the modern collision and why judgment is painful.
Let's pull this journey right up to the present day. Have you ever obsessively replayed an awkward conversation in your head? Maybe you said the wrong thing at a party, forgot a coworker's name, or agonized for hours over a tiny typo in an email to your boss? Well, this phenomenon actually has a name. It's called the spotlight effect. It's a psychological tendency to believe everyone is paying super close attention to us, when in reality, most people are entirely busy thinking about themselves. Your brain treats those little social slip-ups as vital data to help you avoid getting kicked out of the tribe, but it drastically overestimates how much other people actually care or even notice. Moving on to Section 3, rejection as danger, the negativity bias. Think about the very modern anxiety of posting something online. You put a photo or an opinion out there, and then you wait. Do people like it? What if someone criticizes it? This brilliantly illustrates why that waiting period feels so incredibly stressful. Psychologists call it the negativity bias. Because of it, just one single critical comment can mentally outweigh dozens of amazing compliments. Your emotional response here isn't just random paranoia. Our brains are highly sensitive to signals of acceptance and rejection. Our ancient threat detection makes a single piece of negative feedback feel like a massive red flag, not because criticism actually defines who you are, but simply because paying attention to potential threats is exactly the mechanism that kept our ancestors alive. And that leads us to Section 4, the technological amplifier, scaling ancient fears. Look at the sheer contrast in audience sizes across eras as human history developed. The invention of modern technology has fundamentally changed the scale and the visibility of social judgment. In the ancient past, your audience was just a few dozen people, your immediate tribe. Today, through modern technology, one photo, one opinion, or one awkward mistake can literally be seen by thousands or even millions of people. Technology takes those ancient fears we've been tracking on this journey and amplifies them on steroids. It turns likes, comments, and shares into highly visible, global scoreboards of approval or rejection. Because of that massive, unprecedented scale, it becomes so incredibly easy to start measuring your self-worth through those little numbers on a screen. But you really have to remember this. Your value is much bigger than an algorithm. It is absolutely crucial to recognize that those metrics simply reflect momentary platform activity. They don't measure your character, they definitely don't measure your intelligence, and they certainly don't measure your true potential. So, how do we navigate this?
Let's look at Section 5, the path forward, building confidence through action.
Let's shift the narrative toward your own personal development journey. Here is a massive takeaway. Confidence isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act despite it. A lot of confident people eventually figure out this secret. The fear of being judged rarely just vanishes before you take action. It usually fades after you do the thing. Publishing your first video is going to feel uncomfortable. Your first speech might be a little shaky. But every single time you face an uncomfortable situation instead of running from it, your brain is actively gathering new evidence. It learns, hey, I survived that. With repetition, the situations that once felt utterly terrifying just start to feel completely normal. Which brings us to Section 6, retraining your brain. Stop letting judgment control you. We need to actively build habits to shrink this paralyzing fear of being judged, and you can start doing that right now by walking through these 4 actionable strategies. Number 1, remember the spotlight effect. Seriously, most people are entirely focused on their own messy lives, not overanalyzing yours. Number 2, accept that criticism is just a normal part of growth. Every creator, every athlete, every entrepreneur faces it. It usually just means you're actually doing something that matters. Third, focus on your values instead of other people's opinions. Always check in with yourself. Am I acting in a way that aligns with who I want to be? And finally, number 4, practice small acts of courage. Speak up in a meeting. Ask a dumb question. Share a new idea. Each tiny step actively teaches your brain that social discomfort is not a physical danger. Finally, we reach Section 7, the final choice, refusing to stay silent. To wrap up the incredible journey we've traced today, your brain fears judgment because for thousands of years, belonging meant you got to live. While that primal instinct absolutely kept our ancestors alive, today it can just keep us hidden. It stops us from chasing incredible opportunities. As much as we'd love to, you cannot control every judgment. Someone is always going to have an opinion about you. But you can control your future. You decide whether fear dictates your path. The people who go out and actually change the world aren't the ones who magically avoid all criticism. They're the ones who absolutely refuse to let it stop them. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time that ancient, primal fear whispers, hey, what if they judge you? I want you to answer back with a much better question. What if I never discover what I'm truly capable of because I stayed silent? Let that resonate for a second. That single shift in thinking has the power to completely change your life. I'd love to hear from you on this. What is one thing you have held back on doing simply because of the fear of judgment? Drop it in the comments below. Honestly, sharing it might just be your very first step, and it could inspire someone else to take theirs. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.